one here, lead arm depth. Now, why this is the first is one, because this is one of the most common ones out there, and this is the one as well that isn't quite as obvious as quite a lot of other things in there, because it's technically not a downswing thing, even though we know over the top is a downswing move, but this one is really quite its cause, and it's caused from a backswing position, but this is by far the most common one out there. So what is lead arm depth first? Now, this is one that's talked about loads by loads of coaches out on Instagram, and I'm one who's covered it a lot as well, just because of how common it is. Now, if you don't know, lead arm depth is, we could almost say, depth to our hands at the top of the backswing too. So that is at the top of the backswing. Our depth is related to a position in our feet here. So if I've got a lack of depth here, my hands are going to be too far and too close to my toe line. So you can see here, I've got a lack of depth. My hands are right over my toe line. Anywhere lack of depth could be from midfoot to your toe line. So if we are within that realm, really, that is a lack of depth. Now, what a decent amount of depth is, or a good amount of depth to hands or lead arm depth, would be where your hands would be more in line with your heel. So where we draw a line straight down from the butt end of the club, be around about your heel or just behind your heel area here. So that's a good amount of depth, more like a Rory McIlroy type of position. So why and how can that cause an over-the-top move? So if we get up to the top of the backswing in the lack of depth here, so quite high hands are over my toes, we know when we rotate in the downswing, rotation puts a force, an outward force on your hands going down. So if I'm at an area here where I'm quite high and I've got a lack of depth, if I rotate, just the natural force, rotation and shifting is going to put on my hands in a downswing. That club is going to swing over the top without me doing anything wrong in a downswing. Actually, if I was to get in a good position in a downswing here from a lack of depth, I'm going to be making a lot of compensations that are going to really hinder me over time in my ability to strike the golf ball properly, both contact, face contact and ground contact as well. So we know, right, a lack of depth, if I rotate properly in the downswing, my hands are always going to be forced outwards. That's just a normal thing. So that's why lead arm depth is a real important one in there, because we could be having just this position moving nice in the downswing and we're in a bad spot straight away where we would most likely have to lose our tilt to get back onto that golf ball, but then we're going to be sacrificing our strike location, our low point control. It's not ideal. This is why as well, again, this is one of the ones I've done first, just because I have a lot of lessons, especially if they're first time lessons coming in. Maybe they've messaged me over the last few months or so because of all the over-the-top content. They've been saying they've been practicing their over-the-top for years and still can't get rid of it. So they've been doing their, let's say, alignment stick drills, what have you, with baskets, all the different ones I've got on my page, but they still can't get rid of that problem. And again, that's kind of like the analogy I said in the first couple videos, where it's the weed. All we're doing with those ones, we're chopping off the top of the weed, but we want to get to the root of it to pull it out so it doesn't grow back. If I'm practicing an alignment stick here drill, where I've got an avoidance drill where I would hit it coming into that golf ball, if I've got a lack of depth, I'd actually end up having to lose my tilt, doing all those things I just said. It'd actually make me hit the ball worse, and I'd never actually fix the problem. That weed will continue to grow back again, because then if I just let myself swing without thinking that and without avoiding it, I'm just going to swing over the top every single time. So ironically, it's actually a good downswing move that we're putting onto the golf ball, but it's causing us to do the over the top just because where we are at the top of the backswing. So what we're going to do, we're going to get into a little drill we're going to do here, and we're also going to get into what will naturally cause this to happen. So what will naturally cause you to get better depth, and what causes the lack of depth as well. So let's get into a little bit of that, and then we're going to get into that drill and how we're going to fix this first root cause. So we've dived into why lead arm depth causes this problem, and we can see just from top of the backswing position, if we rotate nicely from there, that nice movement that we do so well in the downswing, that a lot of you guys do. I'm surprised at how many golfers out there actually have a very good first move for the downswing. Makes me very, very jealous out there, because I don't. I have a very poor first move in a downswing. So all we need to do for a lot of those golfers is get that depth back there, and it'll immediately be hitting the ball a hell of a lot straighter. It'll be amazing at how much it'll benefit you guys. So let's dive in a little bit about what causes lack of depth at the top of backswing. And what we can do differently, and a drill, which is why I got that bag in my bag here, so wait for that, that's going to be used in a minute. So what's going to cause this problem? A lot of the time it's a little bit of old instruction that actually causes this problem to happen, because I see it really stems from golfers restricting their turn in their lower body. Now, restricting their turn, I see a lot of it manifesting as golfers keeping their right leg very, very flexed for a very long time at the top of the backswing. A lot of golfers I know are actually actively trying to do this at the top of the backswing, thinking it's keeping them nice and stable with their lower body and it's helping them hit good shots. But it's doing the exact opposite. It would actually make you hit worse shots, and it would make your back fall into pieces after time. It will really put a lot of stress on that lower back area. So I'm seeing by golfers really keeping that right leg flexed for too long. And you can see as soon as I do that, keep that right leg, I mean, I find it even hard to do, to be honest, keeping that right leg flexed for as long as possible, unless I have ungodly amounts of rotation with my upper body. I'm always going to have a lack of lead arm depth, because what we talked about in the downswing, where when we put that good downswing move, how it puts a force on the handle and lets your club fall really on the out. I mean, that's a normal move that happens, but ultimately your club follows the way you're rotating, so your hands follow the way you're moving. When we're moving in the downswing, we're rotating towards target, hands are going to go outwards. When we're rotating in the backswing, hands are going to go more behind us, because if you watch here, I'm going to keep my arms very, very nice and limp, and I'm just going to really exaggerate my rotation. So with my hips and my upper body, nothing at all with my hands. I'm going to do nothing with my hands and arms. See how they just go around me. If I do the opposite, obviously the hands then go around the other way. So that's our natural way that we actually get rid of and get this problem better. We actually get a decent amount of depth there. We don't have a lack of it. So I want a lot of golfers out there to start feeling like you're rotating your hips more. You're straightening your right leg. We don't want it fully straightened out. We don't want it to lock out. We want it just short of lockout. We want it just there, so you've got a very slight bend. But what that's going to do, that's going to enable you to rotate your hips more. Because a lot of guys out there, we don't have the flexibility of tour pros. So a lot of us, if we are doing very little movement with our lower body, restricting a bit, like I said, we're not going to be able to get all that rotation with our upper body to get the hands back there. So if I keep my right leg very flexed, again, it's not going to be very deep. But then if I rotate my hips, get my belt buckle pointing more towards the camera, get my back belt loop pointing towards that target, my right leg is going to naturally straighten up. We can see there immediately I'm getting more depth at the top of the backswing by just really getting myself a nice full turn, really making sure I'm really turning that lower body, turning my upper body. My upper body will naturally turn if my lower body turns, and we know then the hands are going to follow round with rotation and they're going to get up to top there, because this is our way we're going to do it naturally. This is the only way, in my opinion, to get that depth properly. We can't stay there and just whip our hands on the inside, because you can see I'm going to get in a very poor structure. My back elbow is going to be really much behind me. It's going to struggle to get in front of me in a downswing. My sequence is going to be off. So we can't just drag our hands round to get in that. We need to rotate to be able to get in there. Nice full turn. Now, if a lot of you guys follow someone like George Gankus out there, he's really big into getting that big, nice full turn. The training aid I would encourage you all to get is that G-box, because that will really encourage again to get a full turn, because that box you have on your left side, as soon as you turn up there and you get that box, I won't be able to even do it, I have terrible flexibility. You want that box on this side to point at the golf ball. If you do that, it's going to be virtually impossible for you to have a lack of depth at the top of the backswing. So if there's a training aid out there, guys, and this is your problem, I will get that if I was you. I will get it, or if you've got it already, this could be a great thing to practice at the start. So now, for those of us who don't have it, because I'm not included, I don't have it. I mean, if George wants to send me one, I'll be very happy to take it, that's for sure. But this is my favourite type of drill for this. This is my favourite type of drill, because we know what we've got to do with our body. We've got to turn it a little bit more to get those hands moving in, to get that more depth at the top. Now, this is a classic avoidance drill, even though I've been saying how much over the last other 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so about avoidance drills, how we need to make sure we are, getting the root cause done, but this one addresses the root cause, which is great. Now you can see what you need an alignment stick. You need an alignment stick. Now, for those of you guys out there who are working on over top, you've probably got an abundance of alignment sticks. I know there's a lot of people that I know I teach online or in person who have, let's say, an over the top, they've got loads of alignment sticks, more than I do myself. So we can see here I've got my golf bag. Now this is very much dependent on the golf bag you have, but I've got a stand bag. So with my stand bag, I've just put it out. So let's say I've got my ball by the stand here and it's about a grip's distance away, and it's really about a grip's distance, the meat of the bag on the outside as well. So all I'm doing here is I've got this in a place to where if I swing and I have a lack of depth, I'm going to hit this stick. So I've just got this stick balanced out, going along the head cover of my driver, 45-degree-ish angle or so. The angle isn't that much important. I want you to get under it, practice, do a few little rehearsal swings, and see if you do a position here where you get a lack of depth, whether your left arm is going to hit it. Because if I am under here and I'm like, yep, I'll put this in a place where my left arm is going to hit it, I just need to swing, get more rotation so I can get myself around this. And this is going to be awesome as well, because this as well will fix your over the top portion as well in the downswing, even though we know that's happening just from a normal downswing move. So this is our little fix here with that rotation. So without me saying any more, let me clip a little one down there. It'll probably be extra drawy because I don't need to personally practice this. I get too much depth at times, but let's do a little swing here. See a little drawy one down there. I just did a little small one. Now when we're working on this, I'd really rather you guys to do quite nice and small swings first, so up to 3/4. So really where our left arm's about parallel to the ground, I would start there, nice and smooth half swings, because we don't want to be crashing into this stick straight away. We want to make it hard, but we don't want to make it too hard to do. So that's the first little thing to do, and then build it up to normal full swings, the more comfortable you get. And then what I'd say is integrate it with some normal shots as well. So let's say I've got 5 balls, I'd hit 5 balls under there, and let's say 2 more, I'll put that down, I'll feel the same type of swing, and I'd hit a ball from there, exactly the same feeling through there. And you see, when you really extreme it as well, you get clean little shots at the time as well. So if you overly clean one, that's absolutely what we want to see when you're doing an extreme drill like this, because this really shallows out your angle of attack as well. So this is our very first one, guys. So if you'll be watching this and you've seen this and this is your one, I would still encourage you to watch the rest of the course, definitely to the end, because the end is the proper practice, because this is just one portion of the practice. The root cause is just one portion of this ultimate guide. This is where, yes, for everyone, loads of people are practicing root causes out there, but how I've devised it is a little thing to do afterwards which accelerates it even more. So that's really the best part of this course, is right at the end. So stick around, watch it all, so you've got the knowledge in there. Knowledge in golf is everything, really is. But so I'm going to get into my next one now after we've learnt this, we've absorbed this, so watch it over a good few times as well. The next one is out of sequence downswing move. So it's an out of sequence move, and we're going to get into that, why that's a problem, and again how we're going to fix it. So let's get into the second one there of an out of sequence downswing.